Thank you very much, Lizette, for giving us your time this morning. I mean, I just spoke to the police spokesperson for Gauteng, Lungelo Dlamini, and I asked the question, is xenophobia behind, is it the root cause of what we've been seeing in Johannesburg and parts of Tshwane? Well, he says from the police's side, they've noticed as well that many other shops that have been attacked belong to South Africans.
Yes, it's a very complex mix, and I think we have to understand that things escalate over time. This is not an incident that just happened literally overnight. It is something that builds up, and there are many root causes for these type of actions. So the protest we have been seeing, the type of language and narratives that are used by politicians. For instance, the mayor of Johannesburg's narratives against migrants are problematic. And then this combined with dire socioeconomic conditions for many South Africans often lead to type of action being taken. And it's very easy for many South Africans to make the leap that in this competition for resources and economic opportunities, to blame foreigners or foreign migrants for these for their woes, and that is often because we are seeing non-responsiveness by government. We are seeing inaction, and we've actually had a lull in many protests after the elections, in the hope that, you know, with the new president and a changing administration, that things will change on the ground. But of course, things didn't change or has not changed yet. So it's this explosive conditions that do not need many sparks to ignite, such as the death of the taxi driver. So the problem is that it's easy for many to lash out at foreigners. We know in many of these hotspots that are traditional hotspots for Afrophobia, that up to 20% of people from the Gauteng City Region Observatory believe that foreigners should or can be attacked because they are the root cause of their problems. So these are areas where there are groups that believe that foreigners are a problem and that they are attacked. But as we know through the centuries and ages, that mobs obviously get a mob mentality, and you know, looting cannot be contained easily without.
No, is that your research? I mean, that you do and you look at all of this, as you said. I mean, xenophobic violence, or as you said, Afrophobia, is not a spontaneous thing, and it's not an irrational outburst. It builds up over time, and then statements by leaders during an election or at any point in time, you've mentioned a couple of names, might lead to people to target migrants in their society as they compete for resources. But I mean, what can be done to make sure that that doesn't build up all the time? I mean, should we be having less of reckless speech or statements by leaders, as an example? Is it a socio-economic kind of approach where you improve the lot of people? We know the levels of inequality and poverty in South Africa are huge.
Exactly. I can say all of the above. But we have things that we can do in the short term, medium term, and long term to turn this around. We will never see the end of this until we address the socioeconomic problems that face our people. So that's number one, because we will always see a competition for resources and scapegoating to vulnerable groups, to blame them for failures of government or just the circumstances we are in. However, in the medium term, we really need to sit down, the mayor and all government departments involved, and really start analyzing what has gone on at many in the past couple of weeks, because this has been coming for a long time, since the raids on businesses by the city and so forth. And that sort of breeds this idea that, you know, it's okay to attack foreign migrants. And the bottom line is, too, that we need to really start looking at the narratives, because most informal businesses in Johannesburg and in the Gauteng region are actually owned by South Africans. many of the shops that have been looted are rented from South Africans. So the damage and the real victims here are not just migrants from other countries in Africa, but our own people. And we really need to start addressing the narratives about foreigners committing crime, as well as that they are taking businesses away, because it's not the truth. If we look at the research, we can see that it is that they actually create jobs and that there are many positives flowing from having migrants in our society. Furthermore, we need the police to really stabilize, and I think they're getting on top of it, but we really need a task team to sit down after this with the police, with the municipality and so forth, and really figure out what it is that incited people to this degree. But we do need to see very strong law enforcement now, because lawlessness breeds lawlessness, and unfortunately we do need the strong hand of the law at the moment before more people are displaced or lives lost.
Lizette Lancaster, thank you very much. She's from the Institute of Security Studies.